Hi, this is Miss Amy from Bertha Pleasant Williams Library. We really hope that you enjoyed the cryptid series that we had, and this video is going to talk a little bit about how we made it. I'm going to go over the equipment that I used, the software that I used, tips and tricks for getting your sound resources, how to work with an animal actor. So if you are curious about how all of that came about, this is the video for you, and enjoy. So obviously, the first thing that you need is a camera. I did just use my smartphone. There's nothing wrong with using a smartphone. This happens to be a Pixel 3a. It's got a relatively decent camera on it. But even if you don't have a really good camera, don't let that stop you from making videos. Just sort of adjust your project to meet your technology. This is actually a really good creative challenge. So if you have grainy footage, consider setting it in black and white and just having it be sort of an artsy film, or doing something with the quality of your camera. Don't let your technology stop you. If you can record video footage, you can do YouTube videos. Just make it work for you. So another tool that I really recommend you have, although it's not necessarily required, is I do highly recommend a tripod. This is the one that I used. It goes up to 58 inches total. That includes the legs, and also there is this telescope feature. And this is really useful if you're wanting to do those pan shots. So if you see those shots that, you know, just sort of slowly move around or up and down, those are pan shots. And this is a way to get them a lot smoother than if you were doing it by hand, because if you're doing it by hand, there's gonna be some, even if you've got the steadiest hands in the world, that camera is really small and it's gonna pick up on that shaky motion. This does tilt side to side, and it has these locks on it, so if you don't need that particular movement in the tripod, you can just lock it down to that one particular motion. And again, this, and then this is for those up and down shots. It'll tilt that way. Also, if you wanted to film something that you're doing down below, so that that shot where I'm doing the cryptid drawing, that was, the phone went here and I just went at it. And then obviously these can adjust as necessary. Okay, so I know that many of you are probably wondering about my cryptid animal actors. And so I'm going to tell you about those today. There you go. So this is Noodles. She only features in one of the cryptid videos, and that's because she, A, is a foster, so I don't feel comfortable taking her out like I would my own cat. So we did her shot just directly out from where she's staying with me. She is a super cuddle bug, and she is up for adoption, like I said, with the Montgomery Humane Society. So if you're working with animals where you're not sure what their comfort levels are, I do recommend staying in your house or in their territory where they're comfortable working. So her shot did not take much. It was literally about a minute to record her scene. And you do not want to work outside of an animal's comfort zone, because they can get stressed, they can get overheated, and it can cause medical problems. So that's why I kept her scenes very, very short. And she got lots of treats and cuddles right after she did it, because you do want to reward your animals. And her costume also was a bit of an adjustment, so I didn't want to leave her in costume for too long. So this is Noodles. And she was our flying dinosaur at the very end. So good job, Noodles. This is Albert. As you can see, he's a lot bigger than Noodles is. This is my cat. I also got him from the Humane Society. I'm a big fan of rescues. He is a Manx, which means he has a shortened tail. That also means that his back legs tend to be higher than his front legs, so he's got a whole lot of jumping power. And he was our main cryptid because he is leash trained. It takes a little bit of time and trust to train most cats on the leash, but Manx are more inclined to be trained. It is very stressful for them to record, especially in a place that they're not familiar with, if there's a lot of foot traffic, because the locations were closed. There were fewer people to deal with, especially at Louder Branch. So he wears a harness when he is out and about, and that includes if I take him to a studio or somewhere else just to hang out. And that looks like. So, if he'll stay on my lap here. So he's got like a normal retractable leash, and that can be a dog leash. And then he's got his harness, and this is sized for a cat. So this model just slips over his head. There you go, buddy. And he knows what's up, so he's not struggling as much as possibly when you would first do it. And then it just goes over and clips on, and you take it off like that. And a lot of times he'll help me take it off. Okay, so I just used the really basic video editor that comes with Microsoft. This is on Windows 10. It may be on some previous versions as well, but this is what I'm using. And this was the Office video that I did, the homage. So you see all of my raw clips here. So none of that is edited. In fact, I'm seeing stuff that I didn't actually use in the video. And then down here you have my storyboard. And this is the file for the finished product. So how you see it here is how it's shown on YouTube. So you can adjust the volume of each separate clip, or you mute it, such as I have here because I had music overlaid on it. For here, you can do custom audio, and I have the Office intro here. And I'll show you a more complicated one elsewhere. You can just do general background music, and it has some presets for you already, but you can only use these. And they are somewhat limited. And, you do have your filters. So for the cryptid video, I did use, I used arcade filter. So that's why you got that pixelated footage. Regular pixel is just black and white. So I didn't use that. I wanted the arcade. And that gave a sort of a more cryptidy mood to it. Okay, and then another thing that I found really, really helpful, especially with the cryptid and also with this video as well, actually, is the speed. So you can, and apparently that clip I had sped up just a tiny bit. So that helps a lot too. It does get to a point where it looks more noticeable. So you have to be careful with that and what you're doing with it. So I got a lot of my resources for this intro from mixkit.co. And I'll put that on the screen. So all of these little clips here. This is not footage that I went out and got. This was already available online. And oh, this actually is not the finished. This is not the finished intro here. So these title screens here, those are from canva.com. And that's not a particularly complicated one, but I do some more complicated stuff with Canva. So if you're not familiar with that, that's a good image editing, kind of like Microsoft Publisher, but a little bit more up to date. It's not as old school cheesy as Microsoft Publisher is. So there's that, and let's see if I have. Okay, so here you can see I have more complicated audio in this here. So it'll give you sort of a preview of what you've got going. You can fade it in and out. You can change the audio, excuse me, how loud it is. And you can overlay what you got going on. So that's pretty much it for that software. For recording sound, because I did do my own scream, you can just go to voice recorder. And as you can see, I have some voice recordings in here. And there's my scream there. So that was just a straight scream. I didn't do any alteration on that really at all. I do have a voice changer app on my phone that I did do for this clip here. So that's me. I just used a voice changer and put it through a filter and then re-recorded it. And that kind of gave it an extra layer of static to it. So that's it. That's pretty much all I do. And I hope this video was useful. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions.